Fun fact, if you didn't know, you should go read up on X-Men and how Stan Lee came about the creation of it, because it's pretty awesome. Some radical things going on and some also superhero way.
G'day mate, my name's Margie.
And my name is Kyle.
And welcome to our YouTube home, Mixed and Nerdy.
So we make videos about our passions, about our projects, and being biracial parents.
So for today's video, we wanted to share with you probably one of our favorite ABC books, and it's quite timely as it's February and it is Black History Month in America. So we want to share with you the ABCs of Black History
by Rio Cortez and illustrated by Lauren Semmer.
Even without just opening it, the front page is absolutely incredible. On the titles of each book is different people from Black history, as well as different
prominent events, and I think there's a few like famous writings as well. So some famous books and some famous documents or poems.
Yeah.
It's an absolutely amazing book.
Yeah, it's really incredible. Even just the detail that's on the front cover, without even opening the book. You could spend a whole day just going through this.
So let's get into it.
So on the back page, we have a little bit of an insight into what the actual book is going to be looking like or about.
So B is for beautiful, brave, and bright. And for a book that takes a bold journey through the alphabet of Black history and culture.
So on the inside, we've got a little bit more information about the book as well. Letter by letter, the ABCs of Black history celebrates a story that spans continents and centuries. Triumph and heartbreak, creativity and joy. It's a story of big ideas. P is for power, S is for science and soul, of significant moments as well. G is for the Great Migration.
Of iconic figures, H is for Zora Neale Hurston, X is for Malcom X, and it's a story of hope and love.
Yeah. And then on the back part here, we've got a little bit of information as well about the amazing writer and the illustrator too.
So Rio Cortez is a Harlem-based writer and a Pritchard Prize-nominated poet whose work has appeared in Mother Magazine, the Miami Rail, the Los Angeles Review, and many other publications. Lauren Semmer is an artist, children's book illustrator, and designer whose work is featured on everything from kids' wall art to children's apparel.
So this book is for ages 5 and up. Obviously though, our son is not the age of 5, but I honestly don't think that matters. I think this is an incredible book for both of us as parents. For me especially, I don't know a lot about Black history in America. I grew up in Australia. Honestly, all that we learned was that there were slaves in America and that there were no longer slaves. I didn't even know which president stopped that, basically.
The key talking points in American education.
Yeah, so a lot of that I learned obviously when I moved here and when I married my husband. And so for me, personally, this book is amazing because it enables me to also learn more about Black history alongside my son as well. Why do you like this book?
I love it because it packs an absolute megaton inside of these two covers. The pictures are distinctive, the vocabulary used is amazing, the message is incredible, color scheme, it's just a really phenomenal book with lots and lots to discuss.
Something else that this book has, so in the start, history is not the past, it is the present. We carry our history with us. We are our history, by James Baldwin. So I think that's a really significant quote and something that we've discussed a lot about Black History Month as well. Your experience going through school and not learning a lot about modern, recent Black history and people who pushed it forward in a positive way that isn't to do with civil rights or slavery.
Oh yeah, it's something we talked about a lot. I talked about it with my mom too, that you always kind of get the classics. You get a little bit of Langston Hughes, you get tons and tons and tons of, segmented and fragmented quotations from Dr. Reverend Martin Luther King. You get a snippet of Malcom X. You get tons of Rosa Parks and her one iconic story. You get very little of anything else, and then I think just as some token feature, this just wasn't a lot. And I talked to my mom about it. She's like, yeah, same 8 people we talked about. You hear about Booker T. Washington, and don't get me wrong, all of them absolutely phenomenal and did amazing things, but you hear about them in the same context, in the same stories, in the same manner, and it's well, what else did they accomplish? Who knows? Education didn't teach me. I had to go find books.
Which is why we're talking about books today. We also have a video on our second channel about the Australia Black History Month versus the US Black History Month. So I'll leave a link for that in the description down below and a card above here if I'm able to. Back to this incredible book. Something I also wanted to point out is on one of the inside covers, they give you more ideas about where you can find out more information about the people or the events in this book, which I think is such a brilliant idea. They've got a whole list of different books you can look at, websites, museums, poetry. So a really incredible resource, not just this book by itself, but with giving you more ideas of where you can look to find out about more history as well.
So to just jump on what I was talking about earlier, you get a brief history of Malcolm X, which is awesome because they never explained why he's called Malcolm X. Or at least they didn't when I was in school. I'm positively hoping that things have changed and that they delve a little bit deeper into Black History Month. X, because he reclaimed his name. He was born Malcolm Little. He went to jail. You know, he joined the Nation of Islam. There's a whole lot of information packed into this little page, despite there not being a whole lot here. And I like this page. It's really awesome.
For me, I didn't know anything. All I knew was that Magneto is based off Malcolm X and the X-Men. That is literally all I knew. For me, obviously I'm trying to learn more as well outside of just this book, but I think this is a really cool way of showing that, yeah, he was more than just the one thing that people say he was. Like, he was a person and he had an entire life. So this is a really cool kind of timeline to show that. Another one of my favorite pages is B. B is for beautiful. Something that I think obviously is incredible about this page is the wide variety of skin tones and hairstyles, clothing choices as well. It's just awesome. Super, super awesome to see. I know as our son grows older, he'll be able to identify with some of the people on this page, not only that look like himself, but look like different family members as well. I think this page is honestly incredible. It's one of my favorites, hands down.
D is for diaspora. I love that. Like, I absolutely do. Because it goes more into what Black is. I had a conversation with my mother about this, and Black is always used as a term to like generalize people of color. I love that they talk about where it comes from. So you get that diaspora is that they came from Africa and they went to all these different places, and this is Black culture. Like, you can be, you know, Afro-Latina, you can be Afro-European, you can be African-American, and those can all be considered Black because there's such a wide level of diversity.
It's incredible, like the way that they've decided to sort of show this page, like with the links of like the different colors showing like which continents that the Africans were enslaved towards, but also then on each continent, like some of like the really more vibrant parts of culture that came about from those communities, which I think is a really cool way to include, showing that Black communities are all different but do all come from the same place originally as well. I think that's a really amazing thing that they've added in.
Helps you build heritage, because I always felt like that being Black was a uniquely American thing, because a lot of us don't know where we come from. Finding out that you come from Africa is nice, but Africa is not a country. Africa is a continent with many cultures, many different types of people, many countries, many different heritages. This is awesome. I actually did an ancestry test and found out that I'm like 27% Nigerian. Now I'm not just African American, I'm like Nigerian American, and then some.
So another really cool page, something we were talking about before, is that in your experience at school, Black history only really taught what's considered the classics. But this page, I, is for imagine, invent, and innovative. And it shows a bunch of different people who aren't from an old history, but more modern history, and some of the accomplishments that they have done, which I think is a really, really cool idea. And again, there's lots of different things that are on this page to learn about that you can also go and research more about. How many of these people do you know?
I know Madam C.J. Walker. I know Alvin Ailey. He has a dope dance studio that he created. It's like jazz pop.
Okay.
I don't know, it's really interesting. Alvin Ailey's really cool what he's built and how it's grown and evolved. Heard about their work, but not a lot about them. I actually do not know who this is. I know DJ Kool and I know George Washington Carver. So I know the top three and not the bottom two.
We've got homework. So another page that I really love is the L is for love page, because I love you. Yeah, Connie. This is really cute. So on a lot of the photo frames here, there's actual names down below. For me, one of the most famous ones is the Loving family. They were the first biracial family to officially be allowed to get married here in America. Without them, we wouldn't be able to get married. They're sort of like our predecessors, and their fight is what allowed our family to exist here in America. So I love that they're included in this book as well.
Q is for queen. Behold and bow down. I love this page because Black women are a huge part of Black culture, and I don't think they talk about that enough. So you hear about a lot of modern Black women, and modern being like, you know, late 50s going all the way forward. But they don't talk as much about black women who ruled in other parts of the country.
It's kind of cool to see, definitely, that they're going for sort of older generation, more modern generation, coming all the way to Michelle Obama. So I think this is a really brilliant page that is celebrating black women throughout history and all the powerful roles that they have held.
They don't teach you about black kings and queens that ruled all through places like Egypt, but they don't tell you about the African kings and queens. I'm not sure how relevant it'd be in American history, but in world history is definitely something that you can learn about, that there were rulers before Europeans went and tried to purge Africa of its heritage and ancestry. There were kings and queens and they had very functioning societies. Oh man, I talked to someone who thought that all of Africa was grass huts, and I was like, oh, poor child, you don't. There's so much wealth and history. It's like
there's so many different countries in Africa, all with different social economic situations going on. Like
some of the oldest civilizations in the world did not just live in grass huts.
Yeah. So at the very end of the book as well, they go into a little bit more detail from each page. So just explaining some of the things that are shown in each page, so the famous people, or for example, D is for diaspora, so going into a bit more of the information behind that as well. So not only do you get the beautiful pictures during the book, but you can also just flip to the back of the book to find out more information as well about each of the pages, the people, or the great events that are shown in each one too.
A real crash course history lesson that you get. It's like, hey, if you didn't understand something, here's our way to explain it. And then you can couple that with the information in the front of the book on places to check out that talk about black history, books that you can read, poetry that talks about being black in America or just the black experience. It's absolutely phenomenal. There's so much packed into this book that it is absolutely unbelievable.
So good.
I'm loving it so far.
If you like ABC books as well as much as us, don't forget to hit that like button down below. And while you're at it, if you have the chance to hit that subscribe button too, it really means a lot to us as well to help us grow our YouTube channel here. There'll also be a link for this book in the description box down below. I definitely recommend you go and check it out. It is just so good.
Oh yeah, it's a staple in the library. It goes up there. It was gonna go in children's books, but now it's in the adult library.
Yeah, it's on our bedside table probably more than it is on Xander's. But thank you for watching our video, and comment down below. Have you read any amazing ABC books like this, or do you have any other recommendations about books for Black history?
And if you've read the book, let us know what your favorite page was and why.
M is for march, for lifting our feet, taking the movement, the cause to the street. Black lives matter, every breath, every dream, every thought, each idea, each impossible scheme. The might of our message is easy to hear. The drumbeat of hope is louder than fear.